Okay. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, my camera stopped and it said that my SD card was full, which I don't know what happened. Anyway, I'll put part one and then I'll add part two, one after the other. I just don't want to have to go through, what is that called? My editing software. Unless I'm really doing something like I have a lot of clips, then I do it. But I'm just going to put this one up, and then right after you'll see the second part. Okay, so I was talking about Dylan, and unfortunately Natalia wasn't that great, wasn't really being sincere and honest neither. So she ended up almost like saw Dylan as a challenge. Although she found him, being cute and everything, but she saw him as a challenge. So what she ended up doing was trying to play like, oh yeah, he thinks he's that great. I heard about his reputation. He's not all that. So we'll see, So she wasn't, she was kind of like, they were kind of like both playing each other, kind of. And I said, well, that's not good. They're both playing against each other. So they ended up kind of like ended up being on opposite ends, because even though Dylan did love her and she did love him, when she found out, when her father found out that he was just using her for her money, and that he had placed a wager so he can win some money. And when she found out, she got totally pissed. So then, and Michael was there. They went out to the garden, and they were caught kissing. And the father got mad at Dylan, and he tried to punch him, but he missed, and he ended up punching Natalia. Natalia ends up falling down and hitting a rock on her head, so she started bleeding and so, like that. And Michael ended up being out. There was another person out there. I think it was Jonathan. I don't know who was out there, but he also witnessed it. So it was like it was a whole scandal. So then, what happened was she ended up leaving and told Dylan, oh, is this true? You placed this bet? And he goes, no, it's not like that. And she ended up, I wish I never met you. And then she ended up leaving, or she went home, back home or wherever, to, with her father. Of course, the father told, Dylan never to come by her or see her, blah, 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 to stay away from her. And then, on top of that, when she ends up going home, she was fine. Her father was kind of a little bit upset with her, didn't really want to look at her because of what happened. So a few days or a day later, her stepmother comes in. Now her stepmother, Clarice, that's her name, she's almost the same age as Natalia. So I don't know if her mother died, I don't remember, but the Duke married Clarice, who was really young at the time. So what happened there was that Clarice said, are you in love with him? Do you want to be with him? I mean, what's going on? Because of this whole thing that happened. She goes, yeah, I do, I do have feelings for him. And she said, well, you should have told me, and, not really wanting, I guess, to trust her stepmom. Didn't really say much, but you should have told me. I would have been, I could have helped you, blah, blah, blah. So the next, I think, another day went by, and she went, Clarice, the stepmother, went to bat for Natalia. Because they liked each other. They got along, but they didn't get along. And she went, and of course, Dylan, because of everything that happened, Natalia was feeling her way. Dylan was feeling his. And when he was at home, a knock was on his door. So he hears a knock, and he's like, oh my God, who could it be at this hour, So then he answers the door, and she's not, I forgot what they called her. I forgot what they called her. Anyway, it was Clarice. So he was shocked, when he saw you. He goes, oh my God, why are you here? With respect, of course, you knew how they talked in those days. And she goes, well, I'm here to talk to you about Natalia. And he's like, oh, is she okay? Blah, blah. He goes, well, no, not really. She's, this thing that's going on is like, are you sincere about your feelings for her? And if not, let us know, because she's about to be married off to a Russian, Nikolai. I'm just going to call him Nikolai because Nikolaevich. Anyway, he's Russian. I'm just going to call him Nikolai because I can't pronounce the whole name. And so she ends up telling him, well, Michael no longer wants to marry Natalia because he's like, at first he did, but then when he found out how his brother felt about her, he was like, he didn't want the secondhand news or whatever, secondhand. He didn't want nothing to do with it. So then he kind of like said, forget it. And then his father said, well, then we'll marry Natalia off to the Russian. But Natalia is like, I don't want to marry him because he scares me. And he was already 20 years her senior. I mean, I don't know. She was really like, he was like an old guy, kind of. Anyway, so Clarice is trying to convince Dylan to go and rectify this whole situation. So he offers her a drink, and of course it was whiskey he was drinking. And she said, no, thank you. Of course he said, well, do you want to sit down? Can I offer you a drink? She said, no. And then he kept, pouring whiskey, and then she stopped him. She goes, you drink it into Bolivian is not going to help this situation. And he goes, well, what do you want me to do? He goes, and then she told him, well, this and this and this is going to happen if you don't do something, because she is in love with you, you're in love with her, and she's going to be married off to this Russian. And he's like, no, he's no good for her, blah, blah, blah. So then she takes the whiskey, because she took the little glass of whiskey away from him because he was about to drink it, and she drank it herself. So she downed it herself. Well, at least that's about how I see it. and then she put the cup down. She goes, you need to go see her. And he's like, in his head, like, me go see the Natalia without seeing the Duke? Like, oh my God, no way. He's going to kill me. But she convinced Dylan that if he doesn't do this, she's going to be married off to this guy, Nikolai. So finally she goes back, she convinces Dylan to go see the Duke, and my nose is running. And so she goes back, and then she's looking for Natalia, and she's, looking all around. She finally finds her in this dark room in the mansion or wherever. And she's sitting in the dark doing needlepoint. And she's like, oh my God, Natalia, where have you been? I've been looking everywhere for you. She goes, I just want to be alone. So she goes, what are you doing? She goes, that, she said, I went to go see Dylan. And she's like, oh, you did? What did he say? And, and she got all excited, and then she told her, it's like, but at the same time, she was like, I don't know how this is going to work. He lied, and then she told me, no, he wasn't after your money. He was after a bet. And then he said that after you guys were in the garden, that he wasn't even thinking about the bet. It didn't matter to him. He didn't care about the bet anymore. He just wanted to be with you. But she was, still kind of felt like, like iffy about it. And she goes, and if if you have these feelings for him and he has these feelings for you, if he can talk to your father and convince you, and you two guys will get married, this whole scandal will be over. And she goes, but what about Nikolai? I go, well, Nikolai, you know what he wants. She goes, yes, right, he wants my money too. She goes, no, he has enough money. He's a prince. Why would he want your money? Plus, he's 20 years older than you. Because you know what he wants. He just, like, in her head, it was like, he just wants to use you, you know, for, you know, other reasons. So, and plus she said, no, he scares me. I don't trust him. He just scares me. I don't want to be with him. She goes, the more reason why you and Dylan need to make this work. So, I think that's where I left off. And then she ends up telling, before Clarice left the room, she goes, you really shouldn't be doing needlepoint in the dark. You're going to hurt your eyes. And she goes, oh, well, my eyes are the last thing I'm worrying about, and then Clarice ended up leaving. And then Dylan did chapter 13? I forgot what chapter was I on? It was on, I would never know which way this thing is going. Was it chapter? Wait, Nikolai. Oh, Jesus. I knew I was at a new chapter. Oh, shoot, I'm going too far now. Oh, yeah, it was chapter 13. Okay. Natalia sank back in her chair, feeling as though she'd been slapped. Do I really sound that pathetic? I forgot what I read. I should read some of this to you just so you can... I'm not trying to hurt you. Clarice squeezed her hand. I'm just trying to show you there's far more to you than you think. Oh, Natalia leaned over and hugged her stepmother tightly. You're such a good friend. I understand what you're trying to do and appreciate it. You've given me a lot to think about. And that's when Clarice left. I think I was on the next page. Okay, but I gotta find that. And then after she left, Dylan ended up coming to the house. And then he was about to meet with the Duke. And that's where I left off. So I can't wait. And I'll let you know next week of the Duke and what happened here. Oh, what happened? What do you call it? With the Duke and Dylan. Oh, this thing is always sliding out of my hand. Yeah, so I'll let you know what happened, the conversation that went through. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to give you and talk about two different stories in one sitting because it's just, too much. And then I end up getting confused with the names and everything like that. So, next week or next time on Tea Time Tuesday, I won't be talking about this. I'll be talking about Napoli in Love. So, every other week, that's when you'll catch up with the story. So, 1 week this, and then 1 week this. Otherwise, I'll be, mixing up the names and everything like that. I don't want to talk about this one too much because I just kind of started. But, yeah. And then every now and then, and if I get, overwhelmed, I always have Emily post to read. So it's not like I will never ever have anything to read because she's my backup. So anyway, glad you joined me for a little bite to eat and try that sandwich. It's really good. So again, it's black pepper turkey, lettuce, tomato, mustard, and toasted rye, and provolone with a little side dish of ranch for dipping. It came out really good. And I don't know what I'm going to make next week. I don't know, maybe just a bologna cheese sandwich. I don't know. But that was good. So I'm just going to take another sip of this. So when I start talking, my lips start getting dry. So like a fish in the sea, so glad you caught me. And we will see you next time on Tea Time Tuesday. And don't forget to like and subscribe, comment if you want to see more of my sandwiches and my updates on my book. Okay, guys, we'll see you. Have a good day. And I dropped my towels. Bye-bye.